It was a bright, sunny afternoon when the Tesla dealership in downtown Palo Alto opened its doors to a rather unusual visitor. The air hummed with excitement, the kind that only a high-end car dealership could generate. Inside, sleek Tesla Model S's, Model 3s, and Model X's gleamed under the showroom lights, each one perfectly aligned, displaying the kind of luxury that could only be rivaled by their innovation. Salespeople moved around with their polished smiles, their eyes scanning every customer who walked through the door, sizing them up for potential. But today was different. A man entered the dealership, a man whose face didn't seem familiar to anyone at first glance, yet there was something oddly magnetic about him. He was dressed in simple, yet impeccable attire, a plain navy blue hoodie, jeans, and sneakers. His glasses, dark and modest, shielded his eyes, and his demeanor was calm, almost aloof. No one knew his name. No one could recognize him. Yet, there was an unmistakable presence about him. His steps were measured, his gaze cool but observant. He didn't approach the high-end models at first. Instead, he walked past them, looking at the more basic models. There was something about his quiet confidence, the way he seemed to know exactly what he wanted without speaking a word. The sales staff, busy with the usual hustle, hardly spared him a second glance. A few took note, but only in passing. After all, Tesla's clientele was nothing new, wealthy professionals, tech moguls, or those with enough disposable income to afford luxury vehicles. But this man didn't stand out, at least not yet. The receptionist, a young woman named Emily, glanced up from her phone just in time to see the man approach a row of Model 3s. She nodded to him, offering a polite, standard greeting. "Hello. How can I help you today?" The man smiled slightly, his voice deep yet calm. "Just looking, thank you." There it was again. That odd aura about him. Emily smiled back, assuming he was yet another curious shopper, likely from one of the tech startups in the area. But what Emily and everyone else didn't know was that the man before them was, in fact, the very person who had made Tesla what it was today. He was the heart, the mind, and the vision behind it all. Elon Musk. But Elon wasn't here to test drive the latest model or discuss the intricacies of Tesla's autopilot system. No, he had come here to see how his company was really being run, from the inside out. He had come to see how ordinary customers were treated, without the bias, the star treatment, or the eager smiles that greeted him whenever he walked into any Tesla showroom as the CEO. For years, Elon had been fascinated by the idea of walking among his customers, undetected, unnoticed. His empire had grown so large, so quickly, that the man who had once been able to go out in public unnoticed was now a figure of intrigue and fascination. People knew him by name, recognized his face, and often treated him like some kind of untouchable deity. But it had always bothered him: how was he truly being perceived? How did Tesla's employees treat customers who didn't have his fame, wealth, or influence? Elon had been mulling over this for weeks. It had become a fixation, a challenge he needed to solve, to get answers to questions that no one could give him. What would happen if he took on the role of a regular consumer, without anyone knowing who he was? Would he receive the same treatment as anyone else? Or would he be left to feel the sting of customer service indifference that too many others had experienced? As he roamed the showroom, he observed. He watched how the salespeople chatted excitedly with a young couple who had just walked in, immediately offering them coffee and bringing them to the latest Model Y on display. He noted how they spoke to the customers with enthusiasm, making sure they felt important. But then, when the salesman turned his attention back to Elon, there was a noticeable shift in energy. The warmth faded from the salesperson's face as he glanced over Elon's shoulder, clearly distracted by a high-profile customer who had just entered through the front door. The salesman's eyes flicked briefly back to Elon, registering something, but then quickly averting his gaze to tend to the more important customer. It wasn't much, but it was enough to make Elon pause. It was like a slap in the face, but only in the most subtle way. He shook it off. No, he wasn't here to get offended. He was here to learn, to see if there was something beneath the polished surface that needed changing. He wasn't just any customer, he was the customer, though no one in the dealership knew that. Elon continued to wander the showroom, eventually gravitating toward a Model S. The sleek, futuristic design caught his eye. A few moments later, a different salesperson, a younger woman named Laura, approached him with a bright smile. "Hi. Looking for something specific?" she asked. He nodded, pointing to the Model S. "I've heard a lot about the new features. How does it compare to last year's model?" Laura smiled, though her voice carried a hint of hesitation. "Oh, it's a huge improvement. The acceleration, the battery life, and, of course, the new autopilot features. It's a game changer." Elon didn't reply right away. Instead, he allowed himself a moment of silence, observing the way Laura spoke, the way her words danced with excitement. He could see she was passionate about the product, but also, he could tell she was trying very hard to impress him, likely assuming that he was just another high-end customer. "How do you feel about working here?" he asked casually, leaning slightly forward. Laura blinked, a bit surprised by the question. It's great. Honestly, I love working at Tesla. The culture here is amazing, and the products sell themselves. We get to work with cutting-edge technology every day, which is such an incredible feeling." Elon couldn't help but smile slightly at her enthusiasm, but something tugged at his mind. Was this the reality of working at Tesla for employees like Laura? Did she truly understand what it meant to work for a company that was changing the world? Or was she just going through the motions, driven more by the paycheck than by passion? It wasn't lost on him that some customers probably felt the same way, entering Tesla showrooms only to feel like they were part of a machine rather than the vision that Tesla was meant to represent. His thoughts were interrupted as another salesperson came over, this time a middle-aged man who greeted him with an almost rehearsed politeness. "We have a special promotion going on right now, sir," the man said. "Would you like me to show you our financing options?" Elon nodded absent-mindedly, but before the man could continue, he noticed something. The salesman had begun to speak in a tone that was almost too eager, too polished. It reminded him of the scripted lines people often give to customers they don't quite care about. That was the moment it hit him, there was a layer of artificiality in the experience. Something wasn't right. Maybe it was all the polished pitches, the scripted lines, or the thin layer of perfection that masked deeper issues. It made him uneasy. But it also gave him the answer he was looking for. What happened next? Well, that would depend on whether Elon Musk was ready to confront the truth, and if the dealership, or Tesla as a whole, could evolve into something better. Something more human. But that was a question for another day. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough? Elon Musk had always been a man of extremes. Born in South Africa, he had made his way to the United States with a single vision in mind, to change the world. From his days in Silicon Valley to launching rockets with SpaceX and revolutionizing electric cars with Tesla, Elon had always operated on the edge of innovation, his name synonymous with the future of technology. But despite his monumental success, there was something deeply personal driving him, a curiosity, an urge to understand what was happening beneath the surface of his empire. The man behind Tesla was more than just a CEO. Elon Musk was a pioneer, a visionary, a businessman, and, perhaps most importantly, a man who knew how to get things done. But what people didn't see, the part that was always hidden behind the headlines and the staged photo ops, was the constant tug-of-war that took place in his mind. Elon had always believed that technology could save humanity. Tesla's mission was clear: accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. But over the years, as the company grew and expanded, he found himself facing an uncomfortable truth. Tesla wasn't just a revolutionary company anymore, it was a brand, a luxury product, and, for better or for worse, it was becoming a symbol of something that wasn't entirely aligned with his original mission. As the years went by, Elon started to feel that Tesla was losing its way. The focus was no longer entirely on the technology or the environment, but rather on marketing, customer experiences, and creating a status symbol for the wealthy elite. He began to wonder, was Tesla still the company he had dreamed of? Was it truly changing the world, or was it just another luxury brand riding the wave of its founder's fame? He had no answers. But he had a plan: he would go incognito. The idea came to him one evening, as he sat alone in his office, reviewing customer feedback reports. The words echoed in his mind: Tesla's customer service is cold, salespeople don't care about the product, I feel like just another sale. It was jarring, to say the least. Tesla had built its reputation on being more than just a car company. It had promised to be something transformative, a beacon of hope for a better, sustainable future. Yet, here it was, being reduced to the same corporate indifference that plagued other businesses. Elon made up his mind. He would visit Tesla dealerships without revealing his identity, buying a car as any other customer would. No special treatment. No CEO perks. Just a man walking into a showroom to see what the real customer experience was like. He began preparing. Using a fake name and a simple disguise, nothing too elaborate, just enough to keep his identity hidden, Elon arranged for a visit to a Tesla dealership in his hometown. He knew that if he could understand how customers felt when they walked through those doors, he could bring about the changes Tesla needed to move forward. He didn't want the employees to recognize him. He wanted them to treat him like just another person off the street. His goal wasn't to cause a scene or make anyone feel uncomfortable, it was simply to observe, to listen, and to learn. How were the people who made Tesla the global powerhouse it had become really treated? Were they valued, or were they just another cog in the machine? That was how he found himself standing in the dealership's showroom that day, dressed casually, blending in with the other potential customers. He hadn't expected to be recognized, and in the beginning, it seemed to work. The employees didn't give him a second glance. They were too busy with other customers, too wrapped up in their daily routine. But there was something different about this place. As he took a moment to walk around the showroom, it became immediately clear to him that something was off. It wasn't the cars themselves, they were as impressive as always, but the overall feeling of the environment. The polished floor, the bright lights, the crisp white walls, all of it screamed efficiency, but it lacked warmth. The salespeople, though eager to assist, didn't seem invested in the experience. It was all about moving the product, closing the deal, and getting to the next customer. It wasn't that the employees were rude or dismissive, not at all. But it was clear they were following a script, one designed to drive sales, but not necessarily to build relationships. It was a machine, and the customers were just pieces of that machine. Elon had long believed that people were the heart of any successful company. Tesla wasn't just about selling electric cars, it was about selling a vision, a future. But what had happened to that vision in the hustle and bustle of expansion? Had the core values that made Tesla so unique been lost along the way? As he continued to observe, Elon couldn't help but notice the subtle distinctions in how people were treated. It was clear that the wealthier customers were given preferential treatment. They were ushered into the VIP lounge, offered coffee, and treated with extra care. In contrast, those who seemed like just another middle-class family trying to make a purchase were left to fend for themselves, waiting for a salesperson who may or may not have time for them. Was this really the Tesla that had promised to put people first? Elon's mind raced with questions. How could his company, built on the promise of a better future, be so impersonal, so focused on profits and exclusivity? As he wandered through the showroom, he had a strange feeling. For the first time in years, he felt like a regular person. No one knew him as the man behind the world-changing company, no one recognized him as the billionaire visionary who had revolutionized electric vehicles. It was just him, a man in a hoodie, walking into a dealership with a desire to see what was going on behind the scenes. Elon wasn't expecting anything groundbreaking. He wasn't there to make demands or cause a stir. He just wanted to see things through the eyes of a customer. What did people really think of Tesla now? How did the company truly operate? And, most importantly, how could he fix it? But as he observed the cold, efficient sales tactics and the chasm between the treatment of wealthy customers and everyone else, Elon couldn't shake the feeling that something needed to change. And that feeling, deep down, set the stage for everything that would follow. The next morning, Elon woke up in his hotel room, still haunted by what he had witnessed the day before. The faces of the salespeople, the quick nods and polite but impersonal responses, the obvious gap between how the company treated its wealthy clients and the others, it all felt wrong. The perfect showroom, the stunning vehicles, the customer service scripts that everyone followed, they were a beautiful facade, but behind it, Elon saw cracks that no one else had seemed to notice. As he sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the city skyline through the window, Elon thought back to the early days of Tesla. It had all started with a mission. A mission to change the world for the better, to create something that could not only redefine the automotive industry but also serve as a catalyst for sustainable energy. It wasn't just about the cars, it was about the larger vision of a cleaner, greener planet. Tesla was supposed to be a force for good, a beacon of hope. But what had become of that dream? Elon's thoughts turned inward. He had always been driven by an insatiable curiosity, a desire to understand how things worked, how they could be improved. And right now, that same curiosity was tugging at him. It had been years since he had truly seen Tesla from the customer's point of view. And now, after spending a few hours in that showroom, he had an unsettling sense that the company had drifted away from its roots. He knew something had to change, but what exactly? He had to go back. That afternoon, he found himself at a different Tesla dealership, just outside the city. He was committed to this undercover mission. No one could know who he really was. He had already crafted a backstory, even down to a fake name. His disguise was simple but effective, nothing too extravagant, but enough to keep the attention off of him. This time, he had chosen a more modest model to inquire about, the Tesla Model 3, a car that had garnered significant interest from both affluent customers and regular consumers alike. The showroom was quieter than the previous days. Fewer customers, less hustle and bustle, but that didn't mean the energy was any less charged. Elon took a deep breath as he walked inside. He wasn't just here to observe, this time, he would engage. He needed to see how the salespeople interacted with potential buyers, what kind of questions they asked, and how they handled objections. The first salesperson he encountered was a middle-aged man named Mark. He was dressed sharply, but there was something different about him. He didn't exude the same practiced enthusiasm that many of the other salespeople did. His approach was more grounded, more genuine, something Elon hadn't seen much of yesterday. "Good afternoon," Mark said, offering a warm but professional handshake. "How can I help you today?" "I'm just looking," Elon replied, his voice calm and measured, not revealing any hint of his true identity. He knew he had to keep his cover. "I've been hearing a lot about the Model 3. I'm curious to know more." Mark smiled, nodding in approval. "You've heard right, it's one of the most popular models we've ever released. It's efficient, sleek, and it's the perfect entry point into the world of electric vehicles. What do you like about it so far?" Elon took a moment to consider the question. Most customers would have talked about the car's performance, its price, or its looks, but Elon wanted to dig deeper. "I'm curious about the long-term reliability. How do you think this car holds up after a few years of ownership?" Mark's eyes lit up, his response immediate and sure. "That's a great question. Tesla vehicles are designed to last. We have one of the best warranties in the industry, and the software updates alone keep the cars running at peak performance. A lot of people think electric cars lose their value quickly, but with Tesla, it's different. Our cars are built to improve over time." Elon listened closely. It was an interesting pitch, reliable, polished, and sincere, but it wasn't anything revolutionary. It was the same pitch any salesperson would give. But what struck him most was how much more relaxed Mark seemed. There was no forced enthusiasm, no artificial politeness. He was confident without overdoing it. This was the kind of salesperson Elon had envisioned when he started Tesla, a person who believed in the product, who saw it not just as a sale, but as part of something greater. The conversation moved on, and Mark guided Elon through the car, showing him the features and explaining the technology. Elon asked more technical questions than most customers would, probing deeper into the battery life, the charging infrastructure, and even the software behind Tesla's autopilot. Mark didn't bat an eye. He answered each question with professionalism and clarity, never once faltering or deflecting. This was the kind of interaction Elon had wanted to see, a salesperson who didn't rely on scripted answers, but instead spoke from knowledge and experience. As the conversation continued, Elon noticed something that made his stomach churn. There were customers in the showroom who had clearly been waiting for help, but no one was paying them any attention. Mark was engrossed in explaining the Tesla features to him, but the other customers, some of whom seemed more eager to buy, were being ignored. It wasn't that the salespeople were malicious, they were simply too focused on closing the deal with the more important customers. The feeling of neglect was palpable. Elon's mind began to race again. This was a critical moment. The mission wasn't just about observing, it was about understanding how Tesla could improve. And the first thing that needed to change was the way customers were treated. After a few minutes, Elon excused himself, deciding to leave before he drew too much attention. Mark bid him farewell, still unaware of who Elon truly was, and Elon walked out of the showroom with more questions than answers. As he drove back to his hotel, the weight of his observations hung heavy on him. Tesla had built its reputation on innovation, on changing the way the world thought about energy and transportation. But in the pursuit of success, it had lost something intangible. Elon knew that if he truly wanted to fix the company, he needed to do more than just tweak the product or update the technology. He needed to go deeper. It was time to face the truth, Tesla needed to reconnect with its original mission. It needed to prioritize people, the customers, the employees, and the vision. But that, he realized, would be the hardest part of all. Elon Musk was no stranger to hard decisions. He had faced countless challenges in his career, the early days of SpaceX when he had to risk everything to keep the company afloat, the moments when Tesla was on the verge of bankruptcy, and the ongoing struggle to balance his many ventures. But this decision, what he had just observed in the Tesla dealership, was different. It wasn't about money or innovation. It was about the heart and soul of the company he had built. As Elon sat in the back seat of the Tesla Model S being driven back to his hotel, his mind churned with the weight of what he had seen over the past 2 days. He had always prided himself on pushing the limits, thinking outside the box, and challenging the status quo. But now, he realized, the very foundation of Tesla needed to be challenged, not the product itself, but the experience, the philosophy, and the way the company interacted with its customers. He had started Tesla with the dream of making the world a better place. The mission was always clear, to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. But as Tesla grew, it had become something else. It had become a luxury brand, and it had inadvertently started catering more to the wealthy elite than the average person who was buying a car to reduce their carbon footprint. Tesla had strayed from its mission, and the interaction in the showroom had confirmed his suspicions. The focus had shifted from the product and mission to profit, image, and exclusivity. Elon couldn't ignore the fact that this imbalance was hurting Tesla's true potential. The truth was, there was a glaring gap between the brand's lofty ideals and the reality of how people experienced Tesla. The image of a car brand that could change the world for the better had been overshadowed by a culture that valued the sale above the mission. It was a moment of truth. He had to act, and he had to act fast. That night, Elon couldn't sleep. He tossed and turned, the weight of the decision pressing down on him. Should he confront the issues head-on? Should he make sweeping changes and shake up Tesla's entire approach? What would the fallout be? Would the board of directors back him? Would customers even care about the changes he wanted to make? The uncertainty gnawed at him. But one thing became clear: if Tesla was going to live up to its original vision, the company needed a major shift. He couldn't let the brand become just another high-end product line for the rich. Tesla was about sustainability, yes, but it was also about accessibility, efficiency, and innovation for the masses. He had to bring that back. The next morning, Elon called a meeting with his top executives. He needed to tell them about what he had seen, about the disconnect he felt between the company's mission and its customer-facing culture. He wasn't sure how they would react, but it was time to open up the conversation. Tesla's future depended on it. As he sat at the head of the conference table in the sleek, modern Tesla headquarters, the familiar faces of his leadership team sat across from him. They had seen Elon weather storm after storm, from financial crises to corporate battles, but this was different. They could sense it in the air. The unease. The tension. "All right, let's get straight to it," Elon began, his voice calm but laced with intensity. "I've been to a couple of our dealerships over the past few days. And I need to tell you, what I saw wasn't good. Not only were customers treated like just another sale, but there's also a growing divide between the experience we offer to wealthier customers and the rest of our buyers." A murmur of surprise passed through the room. One of the executives, Sarah, the head of customer experience, raised her hand. "Elon, are you saying that the dealership experience isn't up to par with our standards?" Elon leaned forward, meeting her eyes. "That's exactly what I'm saying. Our salespeople are following scripts, pushing deals, and not truly engaging with the customers. We're a luxury brand now, and that's part of the problem. We've lost sight of the mission that made us so special. We're no longer seen as a company for everyone. We're perceived as a company for the wealthy." The room went silent. Elon's words hung in the air like a heavy fog. His team had never seen him so focused, so determined. They had always known him as a risk-taker, a visionary, but this was different. This was a confrontation of values, of purpose. "So, what's the solution?" Mark, the head of Tesla's marketing department, asked cautiously. "Do we change our sales tactics? Do we tone down the luxury image?" Elon took a deep breath. "No, it's not about abandoning our luxury appeal. But it's about rediscovering the roots of what Tesla is. We're more than just a car company. We're a movement. And right now, that movement is at risk of being overshadowed by exclusivity and profit. We need to shift our focus back to people. Every customer, no matter their income, should feel like they're a part of something bigger. They should feel like they're contributing to a better world." Sarah looked thoughtful. "How do we ensure that, though? How do we make sure every customer feels heard, feels valued, even when they walk into a dealership?" "That's where the big change comes," Elon said. "We're going to overhaul how we interact with our customers. We're going to implement training for all our salespeople that goes beyond the basics of the product. They need to connect with people. We'll introduce new programs to improve accessibility. And we're going to be more transparent about our mission and vision, not just with wealthy buyers, but with everyone who walks into a showroom." The executives exchanged looks, nodding as they processed the plan. Elon had always been one to demand change, but this felt different. It wasn't just about creating a better product. It was about remaking Tesla's very culture, the heart of the company. "There's a lot of work to do," Elon continued. "But I think we're at a turning point. If we can't stay true to what Tesla was built on, then we've failed. We're here to change the world. Let's act like it." There was a quiet moment as his words settled in. Then, one by one, his team members nodded in agreement. They knew this wasn't just about cars. It was about something bigger. And now, with Elon leading the charge, it was time to get to work. As the meeting wrapped up, Elon felt a sense of relief wash over him. The decision to confront Tesla's internal struggles wasn't going to be easy, but it was necessary. The road ahead would be long and challenging, but for the first time in days, he felt confident that Tesla could regain its true purpose. It was time to remind the world what Tesla stood for. And it would start with him, and with every employee who believed in the mission. The days following the meeting were a whirlwind of activity. Elon was more energized than he had been in months, driven by a sense of purpose he hadn't felt in years. He'd made the decision to overhaul Tesla's approach, but now the hard work of execution was underway. The first step was the dealership experience. Tesla wasn't just a car company, it was an experience, a statement of intent about the future of transportation and energy. That's why it was critical that every Tesla customer felt as though they were part of something greater, something revolutionary. If customers didn't feel this sense of purpose when they walked into a showroom, then Tesla had already lost. Elon spent the next few days meeting with his executives and key managers to implement a new strategy. The goal wasn't simply to sell cars, it was to sell a vision. A vision of sustainable energy, of making electric vehicles accessible to everyone, and of creating a customer experience that reflected Tesla's commitment to changing the world. All right, Elon began, standing at the front of the boardroom, we're not here just to talk about cars. We're here to talk about how we can better serve people, all people, no matter their income. The way we treat our customers needs to be radically different. We're going to stop seeing people as leads or transactions. They're part of a community, a movement. We're going to focus on creating an experience where every person feels valued and connected to our mission. One by one, the heads of various departments, marketing, sales, customer service, shared their ideas on how to begin this transformation. Sarah, the head of customer experience, spoke first. We need to start by retraining our salespeople. They need to connect with customers on a deeper level. It's not enough to just push a product. We need to teach them how to listen, to understand the person behind the purchase. They have to be able to speak to the customer's aspirations, not just their needs. Elon nodded, his mind already racing. Right. And let's not forget about accessibility. We need to find ways to make Tesla more affordable to a broader audience. No one should feel excluded from our mission because of cost. Mark, the head of marketing, jumped in. We'll update our messaging to reinforce this. We're going to emphasize that we are a company for everyone, not just the elite. The narrative is going to shift from luxury to impact. We need to make it clear that every Tesla on the road is a step toward a cleaner, more sustainable future. Elon smiled, feeling a sense of relief wash over him. This was the direction Tesla needed. A return to the roots, a commitment to the mission, and a focus on people. There was still a lot to do, but the vision was clear. The question now was how to implement it at scale. The first change would come in the dealerships. Elon proposed a new initiative, Tesla Experience Hubs. These hubs would not only serve as places to test drive cars and make purchases, but also as community spaces where people could learn about sustainable energy, see Tesla's long-term vision in action, and even participate in local environmental projects. These hubs would be staffed by people who weren't just experts in cars but were also deeply passionate about the mission and purpose of Tesla. This would be a place where Tesla enthusiasts and potential customers could connect, share ideas, and grow the community. After finalizing the plan, Elon called a meeting with a select group of managers from the dealerships, including Sarah. The purpose of this meeting was to align the sales teams with the new direction Tesla was heading in. Elon, I know we've had our issues with customer engagement, Sarah began, addressing the group, but this new vision, it's exactly what we needed. We've been so focused on selling that we've forgotten why people are really here. They want to be part of something that's bigger than just a car. We have the chance to inspire them. I agree, Elon said, his voice filled with a renewed sense of determination. We're in the business of innovation, but we're also in the business of changing people's lives. That means treating each customer with respect, with empathy. We need to connect with them, understand their challenges, and show them how Tesla can be part of the solution to their problems. But we also need to do this without the sales tactics that have been so common in the industry. No gimmicks. Just authenticity. The meeting lasted hours, with ideas flowing freely. They discussed how to train the salespeople, the kind of marketing campaigns they would launch, and even how to redesign the showrooms to reflect the new mission. Elon pushed for a radical shift, not just in how they sold Tesla cars but in how they communicated Tesla's bigger vision. You have to understand, Elon continued, the world is changing. People want to be part of something that aligns with their values. They don't just want to buy a car, they want to buy into a future where we're all working together to solve the planet's biggest challenges. They need to see that Tesla is more than just a company. It's a movement. As the team brainstormed ideas, Elon's mind drifted back to the days when he had first founded Tesla. Back then, it wasn't about the product. It was about the mission, the vision of a world where sustainable energy was the norm. That's what had inspired him. That's what had gotten him through the darkest moments. And that's what he needed to reconnect with, both for himself and for the company. The next few weeks were a blur of planning and strategy sessions. Tesla's top executives worked tirelessly to roll out the new plan. Sarah began developing a training program for salespeople that would emphasize empathy and customer connection. Mark and his team started crafting a new campaign that highlighted Tesla's commitment to sustainability, showcasing the real-world impact of each vehicle. And Elon, as always, remained at the center of it all, guiding the team with his unrelenting passion for the mission. The first Tesla Experience Hub opened in a quiet corner of the city. It wasn't flashy or filled with the usual pomp and circumstance you might expect from a brand launch. Instead, it was a modest but inviting space, designed to make customers feel at home. It was as much a community center as it was a dealership, with sustainable living workshops, talks about renewable energy, and a small cafe where customers could discuss the future of transportation. When the doors opened, Elon stood outside, watching as the first visitors walked in. He felt a deep sense of satisfaction, knowing that Tesla was on the path to becoming the company it was always meant to be. The road ahead would be difficult. There would be obstacles, challenges, and setbacks. But for the first time in a long while, Elon felt confident that Tesla was on the right track. This was just the beginning. The opening of the first Tesla Experience Hub was just the beginning, but it marked a critical turning point. The early signs were positive. The community came, engaged, and most importantly, they connected, not just with Tesla products, but with the brand's greater mission. Customers who had once felt alienated or unsure about electric vehicles were now talking about their experiences, not just the technical specs, but about their role in changing the world. For the first time in a long while, Tesla felt less like a company trying to sell cars and more like a movement trying to change lives. Elon knew that this wasn't going to be a quick fix. Change would take time, especially with the way Tesla was entrenched in the luxury market. The next phase of Tesla's evolution would focus on scaling this initiative. What they had done so far was a proof of concept. But now they had to decide how to translate this experience to other cities, other countries, and different demographics. Back at Tesla headquarters, the pace had quickened. The marketing team was already reworking ad campaigns to reflect the new vision, and customer experience teams were traveling to various dealerships to implement the new training programs. Elon was everywhere, pushing the team to keep the momentum going. But the more he pushed forward, the more he realized that there were some tough battles ahead. While many in the company were on board with his vision, others weren't as sure. Tesla had spent years positioning itself as a premium brand, one that was synonymous with cutting-edge technology and exclusivity. Elon was asking them to flip that narrative, to widen the net and appeal to a broader audience, which wasn't a small ask. One of the biggest points of contention was the pricing model. Tesla had already made headlines with its relatively affordable electric vehicles, but now, Elon was pushing for even more drastic changes. He wanted to make Tesla cars accessible to the middle class, families, young professionals, and environmentally conscious consumers who might not have the financial means to afford a $60,000 car. This meant lowering the prices of some models significantly. Lower prices, one of the executives, Tim, had asked skeptically during one of the strategy sessions. Elon, I know your heart's in the right place, but Tesla has always been a high-end brand. Are you sure about this? We could end up diluting the brand. Elon looked at him, unflinching. Tim, we have a bigger responsibility than maintaining a luxury image. We have a responsibility to the planet and to the people who believe in what we're doing. It's not about exclusivity anymore. It's about accessibility. This company was founded to change the world. And changing the world means making sure everyone has a chance to participate in the future we're creating. The room was silent for a moment, each person digesting his words. It was clear that Elon wasn't going to back down. His commitment to the mission was unwavering, even if it meant sacrificing some of the image they had worked so hard to cultivate. But Elon wasn't just asking for lower prices. He was also pushing for new ideas on how to make Tesla cars more cost-efficient to produce. That meant looking into new manufacturing processes, cheaper materials, and exploring ways to streamline production while maintaining the quality and sustainability that Tesla was known for. This level of innovation wasn't foreign to Elon, but it was a huge leap. Tesla's current operations had been built around a certain standard, and to make such a dramatic change would require careful planning and collaboration. Yet, as the days passed, Elon's team began to see the potential. They were still unsure about some aspects, but the general direction was clear. Tesla had to evolve, and evolution meant thinking about the long term, not just the present. Meanwhile, the Tesla Experience hubs were gaining traction. Word was spreading, and more people were visiting these locations not just to see the cars, but to engage in conversations about clean energy, sustainability, and what the future held. Tesla wasn't just selling a product, it was fostering a community of like-minded individuals who believed in the same values. Elon decided to visit one of the new hubs in Austin, Texas, to see firsthand how the initiative was going. It wasn't just about the numbers or the feedback, he wanted to feel the energy, the buzz. Austin was known for its progressive mindset and eco-conscious residents, so it seemed like the perfect place to gauge the success of the new approach. When Elon arrived, the hub was buzzing with activity. There were people gathered in small groups, discussing renewable energy, electric vehicles, and how Tesla's vision fit into their lives. The atmosphere was warm and inviting, unlike the high-pressure, sterile environment of the typical car dealership. Customers weren't just buying cars, they were making a commitment. They were joining a larger cause. Elon walked through the showroom, taking it all in. He was greeted by Sarah, who was running the event that day. She was enthusiastic, talking to customers, explaining Tesla's vision with passion. Elon, this is incredible, she said, as they walked through the space together. People are engaging with us in ways I never thought possible. It's not just about the cars anymore. It's about the conversation, the community. People feel like they're part of something big. It's powerful. Elon smiled. This was exactly what he had hoped for, a space where customers felt like they were contributing to something larger than themselves. He had always known that Tesla's true value wasn't in the car itself, but in the transformative power it represented. As he spent the afternoon meeting with customers and employees, Elon felt a deep sense of satisfaction. He saw people of all ages, from students to retirees, who were genuinely excited about Tesla's vision. They didn't just want an electric car, they wanted to be part of a movement to create a cleaner, more sustainable future. But as he walked through the door at the end of the day, he couldn't help but feel a nagging doubt in the back of his mind. The changes Tesla was making were significant, but the road ahead was still uncertain. He had made bold decisions, but the true test would be whether those changes could be scaled and sustained. Tesla was still a global company with many moving parts, and not everyone in the organization would share his vision. And then there was the public perception. Elon knew that the shift Tesla was undergoing would be met with skepticism. After all, the company had built its reputation on being exclusive, cutting-edge, and for the wealthy. This new approach, this shift toward accessibility and community, might not sit well with everyone. But one thing was certain, Tesla's transformation had only just begun, and Elon Musk was fully committed to seeing it through. It didn't take long for the first signs of resistance to show up. Tesla, as progressive and innovative as it was, had a deeply entrenched culture of excellence. Every part of its identity had been built on pushing boundaries and striving for the highest standard. Elon's new vision, which focused on making Tesla more accessible, started to rattle the foundations of that identity. The pushback came from within the company first. Tim, one of Tesla's senior executives, was vocal about his concerns. He had been with the company for years and had seen Tesla through its most pivotal moments. He believed in Elon's long-term vision but was uncomfortable with the dramatic changes being proposed. The pricing model was one thing, but making the brand feel less exclusive was something else entirely. "I understand where you're coming from," Tim said during one of the internal meetings, his tone cautious. "But lowering the prices and opening up to a broader audience could severely damage our premium reputation. It's one thing to be disruptive, but we're also a luxury brand. You're asking us to walk away from what makes us special." Elon had anticipated this kind of reaction. Tesla's image as a luxury brand was something that had been carefully cultivated over the years, and he knew it would be tough to break that perception. But he wasn't backing down. "It's not about abandoning quality," Elon countered. "It's about redefining what it means to be a luxury brand. We're not selling a status symbol, we're selling the future of transportation. Sustainability isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. If we keep focusing on exclusivity, we're only helping to make the future of clean energy a privilege for the rich. That's not why Tesla was created." Tim paused, looking at Elon with a mix of respect and concern. "But you're asking us to go against the very foundation of what Tesla has been about. Our customers, the early adopters, they bought into Tesla because it was a symbol of progress. It wasn't just the product, it was the image, the status. You're asking us to fundamentally change that." "I'm not asking to change who we are," Elon said, his voice steady. "I'm asking us to evolve. We need to think beyond just selling cars. We're in the business of saving the planet. If that means making Tesla cars accessible to more people, then that's what we'll do. I know it's a big ask. But it's the right one." The tension in the room was palpable. Tim looked around at the rest of the group, his expression unreadable. There was a long silence before another executive, Maria, spoke up. "Elon's right," she said, surprising everyone. "If we keep the focus solely on being a luxury brand, we'll alienate a lot of people who are passionate about our mission. The people who want a Tesla are the ones who believe in sustainability. We can't just cater to the wealthy. It's time we open up and welcome everyone who believes in the change we're trying to make." The conversation wasn't easy, but it was necessary. There was no doubt that change was coming, but the question was whether Tesla could fully embrace it. Elon felt the weight of the challenge, but he was unwavering. He knew that if Tesla could make these changes, the company could become a symbol of hope and progress for people from all walks of life. Yet, the resistance didn't stop with the internal debates. As Tesla's new pricing strategy was announced and the first few experience hubs began to roll out, the public's reaction was mixed. On one hand, there were people who welcomed the shift. They saw the new approach as a breath of fresh air, a sign that Tesla was truly walking the talk when it came to sustainability. But on the other hand, many people still saw Tesla as the ultimate symbol of high-end technology. To them, the very idea of Tesla making its vehicles more affordable was an admission that the brand was losing its edge. Tesla fans who had spent years touting the exclusivity of the brand suddenly found themselves questioning whether it would retain the same prestige. The public image of the brand had always been tied to its cutting-edge technology and aspirational status, and now it was being redefined. The online forums were flooded with heated discussions. Some fans applauded Elon for making the cars more accessible, while others voiced their concerns. "Tesla should be for the rich," one user commented. "It's not supposed to be a car for the masses." Others countered, "If Tesla is truly changing the world, then it should be for everyone, not just the elite." Elon could feel the pressure mounting. He was used to the noise that came with being a public figure, but this time, it felt different. The vision he had poured his heart and soul into was now being scrutinized in ways that made him second-guess his decisions. Could Tesla really change its identity without losing its core supporters? Was the mission of making sustainable energy accessible to everyone worth risking the company's hard-earned reputation? Despite the pushback, Elon was resolute. He knew that change would never come without resistance. This was the price of innovation. When you disrupt an industry, when you break the mold, you're bound to upset a few people along the way. But that's how the world changed. That's how Tesla had gotten to where it was in the first place. In a meeting with his leadership team, Elon addressed the concerns head-on. He wanted to make sure everyone knew exactly what was at stake. "I know this isn't easy," Elon said, pacing back and forth in front of the room. "But let me be clear, we're not abandoning our core values. We're not giving up on quality, on innovation, or on our commitment to sustainability. What we're doing is shifting the focus. We're bringing people together around the idea that electric vehicles and clean energy are for everyone. That's the future. If we want to win, we have to adapt." Maria, one of the most vocal supporters of the new vision, spoke up again. "We've always been about disruption. We've always done things that no one else thought was possible. Why should we stop now? The world is changing, and we need to change with it." Tim, though still skeptical, nodded. "I get it. But we need to make sure that we're still delivering the premium experience that Tesla is known for. It's not just about making the cars affordable, it's about keeping the quality." Elon smiled. "And that's exactly what we'll do. This isn't about compromising. It's about improving." The team agreed, and despite the resistance, the shift was set in motion. It wouldn't be easy. There would be bumps along the road. But Elon knew that they were on the right path. As the months passed, the company's new direction began to take shape. The experience hubs were expanding across the country, and the media buzz was building. Some of the most prominent automotive reviewers were starting to recognize Tesla's shift, and even the luxury brands were beginning to take notice. But while things appeared to be moving in the right direction, the company had yet to face a true test, a challenge that would force Tesla to prove that it wasn't just a flash in the pan, but a force for real, lasting change. Elon was in New York City when it happened. He had just finished a meeting with a potential partner in the renewable energy space when his phone buzzed with an alert. The headline from a major news outlet read, "Tesla's new affordable model faces major production setback. Is the vision failing?" His stomach dropped. He tapped the notification, quickly reading through the article. It detailed a significant issue with Tesla's new production line aimed at producing the more affordable models. Some of the new components were failing to meet the necessary quality standards, resulting in delays and lower-than-expected production output. What was supposed to be the company's breakthrough moment now seemed like a serious roadblock. For a company like Tesla, where perfection and innovation were the bedrock, this was a public relations nightmare. Elon knew that he had to act quickly. The media had already begun to turn their attention toward this flaw, and if he didn't address it head-on, Tesla's credibility would take a serious hit. That night, Elon called an emergency meeting with his senior leadership team. The room was tense. Maria, Tim, and the others were already seated, their faces grim. They knew what this meant. It wasn't just an inconvenience, it was a potential disaster. "Elon," Tim said, breaking the silence. "We've known this could happen. We've been pushing for faster production, cheaper components. But we haven't figured out how to balance quality with speed yet. The media is already on it. If we don't fix this quickly, the entire project could collapse." Elon nodded, his expression hard to read. "I know. This is the test. But we've been here before. Tesla's had setbacks before. Remember when we almost went bankrupt in 2008? Or when the Model 3 almost didn't make it to production? This is just another challenge. We fix it, and we keep moving forward." There was a pause in the room. The team knew that Elon wasn't the type to back down from a challenge. But this time felt different. This was the most public mistake Tesla had made in years, and the stakes were higher than ever before. "What's the plan?" Maria asked, her voice steady but concerned. "We're going to be transparent," Elon said, his voice resolute. "We're going to tell our customers the truth. We won't try to sweep this under the rug. We'll acknowledge the issue, fix it, and show them the process behind our solution. That's what Tesla's always been about: transparency, honesty, and doing things right." The team nodded. There was no other option. If Tesla wanted to maintain its reputation, it had to live up to its values, even in the face of failure. The next day, Elon took to Twitter. The tweet read, "We've encountered a production issue with our new affordable model. It's not up to the standards you expect from Tesla, and it's not up to the standards we expect from ourselves. We're fixing it. Thanks for your patience. #Tesla." The response was immediate, flooding in from Tesla supporters and critics alike. Many praised Elon for his transparency and commitment to quality, but others weren't as forgiving. There were the familiar criticisms about Tesla's ability to scale production, about the company's arrogance, and its inability to deliver on promises. The pressure was mounting. But within hours, the situation took an unexpected turn. The same people who had once criticized Tesla for its exclusivity and lack of availability were now showing support. A number of prominent environmental activists, renewable energy advocates, and even well-known business leaders came to Tesla's defense, saying that they appreciated the company's honesty and its determination to get things right. "Tesla is doing what every other automaker should be doing," one well-known environmentalist tweeted. "They're not hiding behind a facade. They're tackling the real problems with electric cars and clean energy. Let's give them a chance to fix this." It was a message of hope, but it wasn't enough to silence all the criticism. For every person who praised Tesla's transparency, there were others who argued that the company was still too young and inexperienced to handle mass production. The pressure to resolve the issue became even more intense. Over the next few weeks, Tesla's engineers worked around the clock to fix the issue. The production line was halted temporarily as the team identified the root causes of the problem: a combination of parts that weren't meeting the required standards and a logistical bottleneck that delayed shipments. The team worked on creating a more efficient process that would allow the affordable model to be produced at scale without sacrificing quality. At the same time, Elon doubled down on his commitment to transparency. He held a series of town hall meetings with employees, where he addressed the issues head-on, showing the teams what went wrong and how they were going to fix it. He also made sure that the media was kept in the loop, providing regular updates on the company's progress. One of the most difficult moments came when Tesla had to announce another delay to the production timeline. It was a painful decision. The delays had already cost the company valuable time, and the media storm was beginning to take its toll on investor confidence. Tesla's stock price had taken a hit, and the financial pressure was mounting. But Elon remained calm. He knew that if they pushed too hard to get the cars out before they were ready, it would be disastrous. It was better to take the time needed to fix the problem now than to rush the process and risk another failure. Tesla's reputation was built on quality, and they couldn't afford to lose that. As the weeks went by, the situation slowly started to improve. The new production line was up and running, and the issues were resolved. The delays were announced, but Tesla was starting to regain the confidence of both its customers and its investors. It was a long, hard battle, but the team had come together and found a way to keep moving forward. For Elon, this moment had proven something important: the path to revolutionizing the automobile industry was never going to be easy, and there would be setbacks. But as long as Tesla stayed true to its mission, the company would continue to find a way to overcome them. Despite the recent setbacks, Tesla was beginning to emerge stronger than ever. The production line was fixed, and the affordable model was now moving toward completion. Elon's transparency throughout the process had earned him a lot of respect. But as the company began to gain momentum again, there was a bigger challenge on the horizon, one that would test Tesla's resolve in ways they hadn't anticipated. One early morning, as Elon sat in his office, going through his usual flood of emails, his phone buzzed with an urgent message from his head of public relations, Claire. She had a warning for him: the media had picked up on a new trend. Other car manufacturers, who had been silent about Tesla's progress in the affordable electric vehicle market, were now starting to make bold moves of their own. Automakers like General Motors, Ford, and even some overseas brands had begun announcing plans to launch their own mass-market electric cars. The shift was sudden but inevitable. Elon knew this day would come. As Tesla's success continued to rise, traditional car companies would inevitably jump into the electric vehicle market. But this was faster than he had expected. The stakes were rising, and now Tesla was facing real competition. "Claire, how serious is this?" Elon asked, his tone flat. "It's big, Elon," Claire replied. "They're ramping up production, and the first prototypes are already being tested. The timing couldn't be worse. These are vehicles targeting the same market that we've just entered. They're offering more affordable models with some impressive features. If we don't move quickly, we might lose our edge." Elon sighed deeply. This was exactly the situation he had feared. Tesla had spent years carving out its niche as the leader in electric vehicles, but it had also made itself a target. Traditional automakers had deep pockets and decades of experience. If they were going to enter the market now, they would come in with force. "We need to act fast," Elon said, standing up and pacing around his office. "We can't afford to rest on our laurels. We need to push harder. We need to show the world why we're the leader in innovation. We need to make the affordable models better than anything they're offering." He turned to Claire, who had been working tirelessly to keep Tesla's image intact throughout the production crisis. "I want a plan. I want a full-scale marketing blitz. But not just any marketing campaign. We need something that makes Tesla the name everyone associates with electric vehicles. We need to drive home the message that Tesla is not just another car company. We're the future." Claire nodded. "Understood. I'll pull together a team. We'll work on a strategy." As Claire left to assemble the team, Elon's mind raced. The competition had now entered the game, but Tesla had something they didn't: its dedicated fan base, its reputation for groundbreaking technology, and, most importantly, Elon's own vision. He had built Tesla to be a symbol of progress and change. It was time to make sure that no one could ever forget that. The challenge, however, was how to differentiate Tesla from the new competitors who were now jumping into the electric vehicle market. They could match Tesla's prices, and they could even match its technology. But what they couldn't replicate was Tesla's legacy. Tesla wasn't just a car company, it was a movement. That afternoon, Elon gathered with his leadership team to brainstorm the next steps. He made it clear that they needed to act quickly and decisively. "We've been through tough times before," Elon began, looking around the table. "This is no different. We've disrupted the status quo before, and we can do it again. But we need to make sure that when people think of electric vehicles, they think of Tesla. We need to reaffirm why we're the company leading the charge." Tim, who had initially opposed the new approach, leaned forward. "We've been focused on the product, but we need to shift our focus now. It's about the bigger picture, the mission. The reason we're doing this. We're not just selling cars. We're selling a future where everyone can drive electric, where the world is powered by sustainable energy. The competition can't say that. We need to make that clear. Maria, who had been Elon's strongest supporter throughout the crisis, chimed in. We also need to emphasize that we're not just trying to make affordable cars. We're trying to make the best cars. The best driving experience. The best technology. Tesla is the only company that is truly revolutionizing the entire car industry, not just the electric vehicle market. Elon nodded. Exactly. We need to remind everyone that while others may be making cars, we're building the future. Let's not lose sight of what Tesla really is. They all agreed that Tesla needed to create an aggressive marketing campaign. But it wasn't just about ads and promotions. This needed to be a movement, a global call to action for people who believed in the mission of a sustainable future. They would focus on the one thing that Tesla could do better than anyone else, innovation. The next few weeks saw a flurry of activity at Tesla. Claire's team worked around the clock, building a comprehensive strategy to drive Tesla's message home. They worked with some of the most influential names in the sustainability and technology sectors to create a viral marketing campaign that would engage Tesla's fanbase while attracting new customers. They set up exclusive events, public demos, and even a surprise reveal of Tesla's latest technology. Elon knew that they couldn't just compete with traditional car manufacturers on price or technology alone. Tesla had to embody the values that customers cared about: sustainability, innovation, and a commitment to making the world a better place. The media campaign was designed to do exactly that, positioning Tesla not just as a car company, but as a leader in the clean energy revolution. As the campaign began to roll out, it quickly gained traction. The message was clear and powerful: Tesla wasn't just building electric cars. Tesla was building the future. But Elon knew this was only the beginning. The next few months would be critical for the company's success. The competition was fierce, but with the right vision and the right message, he believed Tesla could maintain its leadership. For now, though, there was one thing that was certain: the game had changed. The stakes were higher than ever before. Tesla's mission was more important than ever before. And if they were going to win this battle, they had to stay true to who they were, and never forget the reason they started this journey in the first place. As Tesla's new marketing campaign began to take shape, the response from both customers and competitors was nothing short of electric, pun intended. But even as the excitement built around the company's future, there were still plenty of challenges lurking on the horizon, many of them coming from the very companies Elon had long known would eventually challenge his vision. It didn't take long before the first shots were fired. Ford, one of Tesla's biggest rivals in the American market, announced a major launch event for their new all-electric model, the Ford Mach-E. The event was being held in Detroit, a city historically tied to the automobile industry, and the buzz was deafening. Ford was throwing all their weight behind this vehicle, touting it as the first real competitor to Tesla's dominance in the EV market. The Mach-E wasn't just a car, it was Ford's declaration of war. The message Ford was sending was clear: we're here to win. Elon knew that the competition would only heat up from here. Ford wasn't the only company gunning for Tesla's top spot. General Motors, Rivian, and others were actively ramping up production for their own electric vehicles, targeting the same customers Tesla had cultivated for over a decade. It wasn't just a battle for market share, it was a battle for the future of the automobile industry. But Elon wasn't afraid. He had always thrived under pressure. After all, he had disrupted entire industries before. What was a little competition? Still, even he had to admit, the stakes were higher than ever. Elon watched Ford's press conference from his office in Palo Alto, his eyes narrowed as the CEO of Ford stood at the podium, touting the Mach-E as a game-changer for the electric vehicle industry. The media coverage was overwhelming. There was one headline after another: Ford's Mach-E, the Tesla killer, and the future of electric vehicles, Ford takes the lead. Elon was unfazed, though his internal resolve hardened. He knew that the best way to respond was to double down on what made Tesla unique: innovation, speed, and a vision for a sustainable future that no one else had. But at the same time, he had to admit that this was a turning point. Tesla's success had put a target on its back, and now, every move would be scrutinized. Later that evening, after the buzz from Ford's announcement had subsided, Elon gathered his leadership team for an emergency meeting. Maria, Tim, Claire, and a few other key executives filed into the conference room, their faces a mixture of concern and anticipation. They had all been watching the Ford announcement, and it was clear the competition was about to get more intense. Elon started the meeting with a serious tone. "This is it. This is the moment we've been waiting for, and the moment we've been dreading. Ford just launched their own electric vehicle, and they're coming after us. But you know what? I'm not worried. This is what we've been preparing for." Tim, who had been monitoring Tesla's sales data closely, spoke up. "Elon, we've always known this day would come. But Ford isn't just any competitor. They've got deep pockets, a massive customer base, and decades of automotive expertise. If we don't respond in kind, they could really take a bite out of our market share." "I get that," Elon said, his eyes flickering with intensity. "But Tesla is different. We're not just a car company. We're a technology company. We don't just make vehicles, we make systems. We make the energy grid smarter. We make clean energy accessible. And we've built an ecosystem that no one else has." Maria leaned forward. "And we have something Ford can't replicate. Our supercharger network, our software, the data we've collected from millions of vehicles, all of that is Tesla's secret weapon. We need to make sure people know that. It's not just about selling a car. It's about selling a lifestyle, a vision for the future." Elon nodded, his mind racing with ideas. He had always believed in the long game, and this was no different. Tesla wasn't going to win by playing catch-up. The company needed to continue pioneering new technologies, whether it was in autonomous driving, energy storage, or sustainable materials. "We're going to do what we do best, innovate," Elon declared. "But we're also going to push the boundaries of how we connect with people. The mission we're on isn't just about cars. It's about creating a sustainable future, and we need to make sure that everyone understands that. People don't just want an electric car. They want a movement." Claire, who had been silent up until this point, chimed in. "We also need to be smarter about how we market ourselves. Ford may have the advantage of being an established name, but Tesla has something far more valuable: a loyal following. Our customers don't just buy our cars, they believe in what we stand for. If we can harness that energy and amplify it, we'll come out ahead." Elon smiled, his resolve firming. "You're right. It's time to remind everyone why they fell in love with Tesla in the first place. We're going to show them what's next, not just in terms of the cars we build, but in the world we're creating. The future isn't just electric. It's clean, it's efficient, and it's sustainable. And Tesla is the only company that's actually making it happen." The team left the meeting with a renewed sense of purpose. They had a clear vision and a solid plan. Tesla's battle with Ford, and the other automakers entering the electric vehicle market, was just beginning. But one thing was certain: Tesla wasn't going to back down. They were going to lead the way. Over the next several months, Tesla ramped up its efforts, focusing on its strengths: technological innovation, sustainability, and creating a community that believed in its mission. Elon's commitment to electric cars, clean energy, and a better future remained unwavering. Meanwhile, Ford's Mach-E was launched to mixed reviews. While some hailed it as a solid competitor to Tesla, others criticized it for feeling too much like an imitation. Tesla's loyal fanbase, who had long been disillusioned by traditional car companies, rallied behind the brand even more, and sales for Tesla's existing models continued to rise. But the fight wasn't over yet. The future was still uncertain, and the competition was far from finished. Tesla had set the stage for an industry-wide revolution, but the battle for dominance in the electric vehicle market was far from won. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough? As the competition intensified and the media storms surrounding Ford's Mach-E launch showed no signs of dying down, Elon Musk knew that Tesla needed to go beyond traditional methods to stay ahead. In this battle for the future of the automobile industry, every decision mattered. And while the marketing strategy was crucial, there was something even more significant: staying connected to the customer's experience. Elon had always believed in first-hand experiences, whether it was his own ventures into SpaceX or his personal mission to build sustainable energy solutions. But now, he wanted to see Tesla from a perspective that even he had never truly experienced before. He needed to understand what it was like for the average customer, the people who were walking into Tesla showrooms for the first time, those who had no idea what it meant to drive a car that wasn't just about transportation, but also about revolutionizing an entire industry. That's when the idea hit him. What if he went undercover? Elon was never one to shy away from the unconventional, and this idea struck him as exactly the sort of bold, disruptive move that had made Tesla what it was today. He could walk into a Tesla dealership, pose as a regular customer, and experience exactly what the buying process was like, from the showroom experience to the test drive, and even the post-sale support. He would see firsthand how well Tesla's vision had been translated into customer interactions. This could also help him spot gaps in Tesla's customer service, improve the purchasing experience, and find out if Tesla's staff were truly embodying the mission of the company. Elon called Claire to discuss the plan. "I want to go undercover. I want to walk into one of our dealerships, no one knowing who I am, and just be a regular customer. I need to understand how we're treating customers on the ground." Claire was taken aback, though she quickly recognized the brilliance behind Elon's request. "You want to walk into a dealership as a normal person? No one will recognize you." "Exactly. I want to see the raw, unfiltered experience that an average person goes through when they're thinking about buying a Tesla. I want to know how our team is interacting with customers, and whether we're really living up to the Tesla promise," Elon explained. Claire hesitated for a moment, considering the implications. "It's risky, Elon. What if someone recognizes you? What if the staff treats you differently because they know who you are? Or worse, what if the whole thing backfires?" "I'll make sure it's done in a way that doesn't interfere with normal operations," Elon replied. "And if I get recognized? Even better. It'll mean the process is still too predictable. I need to know where we can improve, and this will give me that insight. We're a company built on transparency and honesty, so it's time I practiced what I preach. I'm doing this." Claire, after a moment of thought, agreed. "All right, I'll make sure everything is set up. You'll need to go in under a new name, change your appearance a bit, and get the whole customer experience." Elon smiled. "Exactly. Let's see if the company we've built is truly delivering on the promise." The next day, Elon flew to one of Tesla's most high-traffic showrooms located in the heart of Silicon Valley. He took great care in disguising himself, wearing simple clothes, jeans, a hoodie, and a pair of sunglasses, to look like a regular guy browsing for a car. He even borrowed a temporary phone number and used a new identity that wouldn't raise any suspicion. Once inside, Elon was greeted by a friendly sales associate, a young woman named Sophie, who seemed excited to show him the latest models. "Welcome to Tesla. What brings you in today?" she asked, flashing a bright smile. Elon gave his most nonchalant response. "I've been thinking about going electric for a while now. Tesla seems like a good choice. I just want to look at your options." Sophie smiled even wider, clearly pleased by the interest. "Absolutely. We have a wide range of vehicles, from the Model S to the Model 3 and even the Model Y. I'm happy to help you explore which one fits your needs best." Elon followed Sophie around the showroom, looking at the different vehicles with curiosity, as if he had never seen them before. Sophie explained the features of each model in depth, detailing the car's performance, efficiency, and advanced technology. Elon was impressed by how well the information was presented. The staff was well trained, clearly knowledgeable, and passionate about the cars. It was evident that they were committed to the Tesla mission. After some discussion, Elon decided to take the Model 3 for a test drive. Sophie handed him the keys and guided him to the car. As they drove around the block, Elon asked questions about the car's handling, the autopilot system, and the charging network. Tesla's supercharging network is fantastic, Sophie explained enthusiastically. It's one of the main reasons I bought a Tesla myself. You can travel across the country and never have to worry about running out of juice. The charging stations are everywhere. Elon nodded, keeping his true identity a secret. But inwardly, he was impressed. This wasn't just a sales pitch, Sophie genuinely believed in what she was saying. Tesla's impact on everyday customers was palpable, and it was clear that the company had made a real difference in the lives of the people who had embraced it. However, there was something off, something subtle, that nagged at him. It wasn't in the knowledge or enthusiasm of the staff, it was in the small details of the experience, the uncertainty in Sophie's voice when she couldn't answer a few specific technical questions, the momentary hesitation when she had to consult the manual for an answer. The test drive went smoothly, and Elon was impressed with the vehicle's performance and technology. But he noticed that after the drive, Sophie didn't seem to be as confident about the next steps in the buying process. The questions she asked seemed scripted, as if the entire sales process wasn't tailored to individual needs but rather to moving customers along the line. The transparency and connection Tesla had cultivated in its earlier years seemed to be fading in some places, replaced by a more routine process. Later that afternoon, Elon sat in his hotel room, reflecting on the experience. The test drive had been perfect, the car was everything he hoped it would be, but something was missing. While the staff was knowledgeable, they weren't fully embracing the Tesla vision. It was clear that Tesla had become more of a brand, one that people recognized, admired, and wanted to buy into. But in the race to grow and scale the business, the personal touch, the deep connection that once made customers feel like part of the Tesla mission, was slipping through the cracks. Elon knew what he had to do next. The vision hadn't changed, but the way it was being communicated to the customer had. Tesla needed to return to its roots, emphasizing the personal connection and the mission, not just the sale. It was time for a reset. The undercover experience had left Elon with much to think about. Despite the overwhelming success of Tesla in terms of innovation and product development, he had discovered a gap in the customer experience that could prove to be problematic. While the company had cultivated a loyal following over the years, Elon realized that it was time to refocus on the one thing that had always set Tesla apart, the connection with its customers. It wasn't just about selling cars, it was about making every person who walked through the doors of a Tesla showroom feel like they were part of something larger, something world-changing. That night, back at Tesla's headquarters in Palo Alto, Elon gathered his leadership team to discuss the findings. He knew this was a critical moment. The team had worked tirelessly to bring Tesla from a startup to an industry leader, but now the company needed to evolve once again. It had to stay connected to the very people who had helped Tesla rise to prominence, those who believed in the mission, those who had trusted Tesla to lead the way into a sustainable future. Elon, it's clear that we've been doing everything right in terms of technology and innovation, Maria, the chief marketing officer, began. But as the company has grown, the personal touch, the connection to our customers, has started to slip. We've focused so much on scaling and building new products that we've lost sight of what made Tesla special. Elon nodded. Exactly. We're not just selling cars. We're offering a vision for the future. And that's something that doesn't get lost in the shuffle. It's a conversation, not just a transaction. Claire, who had been working closely with the customer service teams, added, I think part of the issue is that we've grown so fast. Our sales associates and service teams are stretched thin. They're not able to spend the time with each customer the way they used to. And that's when the experience starts feeling robotic, when it's more about closing a deal and less about nurturing a relationship. Elon looked around the table at his team. The room was filled with brilliant minds who had dedicated their careers to Tesla's mission, but he could see the exhaustion in their eyes. The rapid growth that had made Tesla the company it was today had also brought about its challenges. Now, it was time to pivot, to reimagine the Tesla experience, not just for customers, but for the employees who made it all possible. We need to go back to our roots, Elon said firmly. It's time to slow down and get back to the personal touch. We're not just a car company, we're a movement. And every person who interacts with Tesla needs to feel that. Every customer, every employee, every person who touches this company should know what we stand for. The team was quiet for a moment, considering the weight of what Elon had just said. Maria broke the silence. So, what do we do next? Elon's eyes lit up with determination. We're going to launch a new initiative, something that will redefine the way Tesla interacts with its customers. This initiative will not just focus on selling cars, but on reinforcing our mission of sustainability and innovation. We'll start by training our employees to reconnect with customers on a personal level. We'll revisit the entire customer journey, from the first point of contact to post-sale service, and ensure that every step feels like an experience, not a transaction. Claire added, we'll also work on new training programs for our employees, focusing on empathy, communication, and understanding what our customers truly want. We've got the tech and the products, but we've lost the human connection. We need to bring that back. Tim, Tesla's chief operating officer, nodded in agreement. And this will be a massive shift in our internal culture as well. Everyone, from the salespeople to the engineers, needs to be aligned with our vision. We've always been a company driven by mission, but that's been getting lost in the day-to-day operations. We need to remind everyone why they joined Tesla in the first place. Elon took a deep breath. He had been through so many ups and downs in his career, but this felt different. Tesla had built something extraordinary, but the journey wasn't over yet. They had to keep evolving to ensure they stayed true to their roots. This was about more than just cars, it was about creating a movement, a vision for a better, more sustainable future. All right, let's do this, Elon said, his voice steady. We're going to put our customers first, no matter what. Let's give them an experience that not only makes them want to buy a Tesla but makes them feel like they're a part of something much bigger than themselves. In the weeks that followed, Tesla launched its new initiative, which became known as the Tesla Experience Project. It was a comprehensive effort to refocus on the personal touch in every aspect of the customer journey. Sales associates were retrained to better connect with customers, focusing not just on closing a deal, but on understanding what each individual wanted out of their Tesla ownership experience. This meant listening, asking the right questions, and providing a level of service that made every customer feel valued and understood. The company also revamped its customer support systems, ensuring that owners felt connected to Tesla even after the sale. Tesla's mission of sustainability and innovation was incorporated into every conversation, emphasizing that buying a Tesla wasn't just about owning a car, it was about investing in a cleaner, greener future. Elon and his leadership team also began to pay more attention to employee satisfaction. Tesla's meteoric growth had put immense pressure on the staff, and it was evident that the company needed to take better care of its employees to ensure that they were equipped to take care of customers. Internal communications were revamped, with more regular check-ins and feedback loops, and a renewed focus on fostering a sense of community within the Tesla workforce. A few months later, the results of the initiative were clear. Customer satisfaction scores soared. Tesla's showroom staff were more engaged, and they had a newfound passion for connecting with customers on a personal level. The shift was felt throughout the entire company, from the engineers working on the next generation of vehicles to the customer support agents answering calls. The industry took notice. Tesla's commitment to the customer experience became a key differentiator in the increasingly competitive EV market. Even Ford, with all its resources and clout, struggled to replicate the kind of connection that Tesla had built with its customers. Elon had done it. He had steered Tesla back to its roots, reminding everyone involved in the company why they had joined in the first place: to make the world a better place, one car, one customer, and one innovation at a time. Tesla's new initiative was more than just a shift in customer service. It was the beginning of something greater, a ripple effect that would extend far beyond the walls of Tesla showrooms, reaching into the hearts of their customers, the industry, and even the way the company operated internally. Elon had always believed in the power of innovation to change the world, but now he was realizing that it wasn't just technology that could bring about change, it was the way you treated people, the way you made them feel part of something bigger. The Tesla Experience project had worked. But the next challenge was to ensure that it wasn't just a momentary flash of brilliance. It had to be sustainable. It had to become embedded in the DNA of Tesla's culture. Elon couldn't let the company slide back into its old ways. A few weeks after the initiative had been rolled out, he decided to visit one of Tesla's busiest showrooms in Los Angeles to see for himself how things were progressing. This time, there was no disguise. Elon was walking through the door as himself, but he didn't announce his presence. He wanted to see how the changes were truly impacting the staff and customers. As he walked in, the showroom felt different. The energy was palpable, and there was a sense of excitement in the air. Sales associates weren't just standing behind their desks or simply pushing products, they were actively engaging with customers, asking questions, listening to their stories, and tailoring the experience to each individual. He approached one of the salespeople, a young man named Jake, who was helping a family decide between a Model 3 and Model Y. Jake had a calm but enthusiastic demeanor, and he seemed genuinely invested in the family's decision-making process. "So, what kind of driving experience are you looking for?" Jake asked, pointing out the features of the Model Y. "Are you looking for more space for family trips, or is performance and range more important to you?" The father, John, responded, "We're definitely looking for a family car. My wife and I have 3 kids, and we're trying to make the switch to electric for environmental reasons." Jake smiled. "I think the Model Y would be a great choice for you. Not only is it spacious and comfortable, but it's also incredibly safe and efficient. Plus, with Tesla's supercharging network, you'll never have to worry about road trips. You'll always have access to fast charging stations wherever you go." John nodded, clearly impressed by the personalized approach. Elon couldn't help but smile, watching the conversation unfold. The Tesla Experience project was making a difference, and it was evident that the staff were taking the initiative seriously. After Jake finished with the family, Elon approached him and introduced himself. "Hey, I'm Elon. Just wanted to say, great job with the family. You were really listening to their needs and giving them a solid recommendation." Jake looked shocked for a second before smiling awkwardly. Thank you. That means a lot, especially coming from you. I'm just trying to make sure everyone has the best experience possible." Elon nodded, pleased. "That's exactly what I wanted to see. You're not just selling cars. You're giving them an experience that matches what we believe in as a company. Keep it up." Jake beamed with pride. "I appreciate that, Mr. Musk. It's been really exciting to see how things are changing here. We're not just focusing on the product anymore, we're really focusing on the people who are buying them. And that makes all the difference." As Elon walked through the showroom, he realized that the true transformation was happening, not just in the way Tesla sold cars, but in how the staff saw their roles. The focus had shifted from just moving inventory to creating lasting relationships, and it was clear that this shift had made a tremendous impact on the company's culture. Back at Tesla's headquarters, Elon met with his leadership team again to discuss the next steps. The response from customers and employees alike had been overwhelmingly positive, but the real work was just beginning. Elon knew that for Tesla to maintain its edge in the industry, it couldn't rest on its laurels. The car market was becoming increasingly competitive, and the next wave of innovation was already knocking at the door. "We've made incredible progress," Elon said, addressing the team. "But now we need to push even further. We've rekindled the spirit of customer connection, but we also need to look at how we can keep innovating, not just in our vehicles, but in the entire experience, beginning to end." Maria raised her hand. "So, what's next? How do we build on the success of the Tesla Experience project?" Elon's mind was already racing with ideas. "We need to think about the entire life cycle of Tesla ownership. How can we extend the experience beyond the showroom? How can we ensure that the excitement and connection we've built continues even after the sale?" Claire spoke up. "We could start by looking at our service experience. A lot of customers tell us that while they love the product, the service process can be a bit frustrating. What if we revamped how we do vehicle servicing? What if it became just as much of an experience as buying the car?" Elon's eyes lit up. "Exactly. What if getting a Tesla serviced was as seamless and enjoyable as buying one? What if we could offer at-home service, where a technician comes to the customer's house or office, instead of them having to come to us?" Tim leaned in. "We could also use the app to allow customers to track service appointments, monitor vehicle health, and get real-time updates. The app could serve as a hub for their entire Tesla experience, from purchasing to service." Elon nodded, energized by the possibilities. "Let's start working on that. We'll integrate service into the Tesla Experience project, making sure it's just as customer-centric as everything else. And while we're at it, let's look at what we can do to enhance the charging experience. Let's make it even easier and more efficient for our customers to charge their cars. We've built a great network, but we can always improve." The team set to work immediately, breaking into smaller groups to brainstorm how to take the Tesla customer experience to the next level. It was clear that Elon's vision was about more than just cars, it was about building a whole new way of living with technology, and making sure every person who interacted with Tesla felt part of the journey. Months passed, and the results of the new initiatives began to roll in. Customers were delighted by the new service experience, which was far more convenient and hassle-free. The mobile service vans were a huge hit, and Tesla's app became an indispensable tool for owners. The supercharging network continued to grow, with faster charging times and more locations opening up. But what stood out the most was the sense of community Tesla had fostered. More than just customers, people felt like they were part of a movement, and that made all the difference. Tesla was no longer just a company that made electric cars, it was a company that was transforming how people thought about sustainability, technology, and the future. Elon Musk had done it again. He had taken a company that was already a leader and reinvented it, not just in terms of product, but in terms of experience. The ripple effect had spread far and wide, and there was no turning back. Elon Musk sat in his office late one evening, the hum of activity from the Tesla headquarters outside his door slowly winding down. Despite the tremendous progress Tesla had made in reshaping its customer experience and internal culture, there was a quiet sense of unease that lingered. The car industry was rapidly evolving, and Tesla's innovations were being closely watched by both competitors and regulators. Elon knew that every success Tesla achieved was a double-edged sword. As the company pushed boundaries, they also drew attention, some of it positive, but much of it critical. This time, however, it wasn't the usual scrutiny that had him worried. There was something else, something that wasn't even on his radar yet but had the potential to change everything. As he sat reflecting on the company's trajectory, his phone buzzed with an incoming message. It was from Maria, Tesla's chief marketing officer. Her tone was urgent, and the subject line caught his eye: "Breaking news, major competitor announced new EV model." Elon opened the email and immediately saw what had his team scrambling. A rival automaker, one with deep pockets and a long history in the industry, had announced a new electric vehicle that could rival Tesla's most popular models. It was sleek, affordable, and featured cutting-edge autonomous driving technology, similar to Tesla's autopilot. The car was set to hit the market in just a few months, and its capabilities were eerily similar to Tesla's. Elon's heart rate quickened as he read through the details. The company had a massive advertising budget, and their marketing campaign was already in full swing. The new car was poised to steal attention from Tesla's flagship models, especially given the competitor's established reputation and customer base. He couldn't help but feel a twinge of anxiety. For all the success Tesla had achieved, they were about to face their biggest challenge yet. There was no question that Tesla's innovations were unmatched, but now, for the first time in years, the company was about to face a direct, formidable competitor who had the resources to match Tesla's ambitions. Maria called Elon shortly after the email. "Elon, we've got to respond quickly. This could change the entire landscape of the EV market. This new car is being marketed as the future of driving, and they're pulling no punches in their campaign. If we don't act fast, we risk losing momentum." Elon thought for a moment. He had always prided himself on being ahead of the curve, on being the disruptor. But now, for the first time, the tables were turned. A new challenge was on the horizon, and it wasn't one Tesla had seen coming. "I agree," Elon said. "We need to go on the offensive. We're not going to let this stop us. In fact, I think we're going to use this as a rallying point. Let's remind everyone why Tesla is different, not just in our products but in our approach. This isn't just about selling cars, it's about changing the way the world thinks about sustainability, technology, and the future." Maria's voice was filled with resolve. "Absolutely. Let's leverage our strengths, our brand loyalty, our track record of innovation, and, of course, our community of passionate Tesla owners. If we can engage them in the conversation, we'll show that this is more than just a product battle. It's a vision for the future." Elon's mind was already racing with ideas. This wasn't a crisis, this was an opportunity. And like any good entrepreneur, he knew that opportunities often came disguised as challenges. He needed to think differently, and Tesla needed to double down on its core strengths. The next day, Elon called an all-hands meeting at Tesla's headquarters. The entire company gathered in the massive conference room, eager to hear what their leader had to say. "Listen up, everyone," Elon began, standing at the front of the room. "We've just been handed the fight of our lives. But this isn't a setback, it's a chance to prove why we're the leaders in the EV industry. We've been the disruptors from the start, and we're not about to let anyone steal our thunder. We're going to do what Tesla does best, innovate, lead, and redefine what's possible." The room was silent, hanging on every word. Tesla employees were used to the pressure, but this felt different. Elon continued, his voice gaining energy. "We're not going to just react to this competition. We're going to come out swinging. We've got a unique opportunity here to not just respond to their new car, but to show the world that Tesla is the only company with the vision, the technology, and the heart to drive us toward a sustainable future. This is our moment. We're going to show that it's not just about building electric cars, it's about changing the world." The team erupted in applause. Elon had a knack for turning moments of doubt into moments of action, and his passion was infectious. "We're launching a new marketing campaign," Elon announced. "One that highlights our customers, our mission, and the difference we're making every single day. This is a fight for the future, and Tesla is leading the charge. We're going to remind people why they joined us in the first place, because we're building more than just cars, we're building a movement." Over the next few weeks, Tesla's response came in the form of an ambitious campaign called the Tesla Movement. Instead of focusing solely on the new competition, Tesla began spotlighting the passion of its customers, employees, and supporters. The campaign was designed to showcase not just Tesla's cars but the company's commitment to a cleaner, more sustainable future. Elon also unveiled plans for the next generation of Tesla vehicles, promising more advanced autonomous driving capabilities and cutting-edge features that no one else could match. Tesla's reputation for constant innovation was highlighted, with the campaign emphasizing the company's ability to deliver on promises, year after year. In an effort to connect even more deeply with its customer base, Tesla launched a series of community events, including virtual roundtables, local meetups, and live Q&A sessions with Elon and the leadership team. Tesla owners and fans were invited to share their stories, their experiences, and their vision for the future of transportation. The message was clear: Tesla wasn't just a company, it was a global community united by a common cause. Meanwhile, the competitor's campaign began to hit a snag. Despite the flashy advertisements and promises of groundbreaking technology, the public was starting to see through the hype. Many felt that the new car was just another vehicle, with nothing truly revolutionary to offer. Critics began pointing out that, despite the flashy tech, the competitor had yet to prove its commitment to sustainability in the same way Tesla had. Elon knew that the fight wasn't over, but Tesla's response had made one thing clear: the company wasn't going to be easily outpaced. With their loyal customer base, relentless drive for innovation, and commitment to sustainability, Tesla had proven that it was more than just a car company, it was a force for change. As weeks turned into months, Elon Musk's focus sharpened. Tesla's campaign, the Tesla movement, was gaining traction. People were responding not just to the cars, but to the story Tesla was telling, the story of a future powered by sustainability, innovation, and a customer-focused approach. Tesla's loyal community, who had supported the company through thick and thin, rallied behind the message. But Elon knew that this moment was not just about pushing back against competition, it was about redefining the narrative of the EV industry itself. The competition wasn't just a car manufacturer. It was a giant with decades of history, infrastructure, and brand recognition. Tesla had the advantage of being the new kid on the block, constantly innovating and pushing boundaries. But now, more than ever, Elon knew the company had to stay ahead of the curve, not just in terms of products, but in how Tesla continued to differentiate itself as a leader in the field. Late one evening, as Elon sat alone in his office, the weight of the situation pressed down on him. He looked at his phone. Maria had sent him a message that said, "We need to talk about the next phase. It's time for something bold." Elon clicked on the message, feeling his heart rate pick up. He had anticipated this conversation, but he wasn't sure what the next big move should be. Tesla was already at the forefront of electric vehicles, but with rising competition, he knew that standing still wasn't an option. The message continued, "I have an idea that could change everything, but it's risky. If we do this, it will be a game changer. We'll need all hands on deck, but it's a risk worth taking. Let's discuss." Elon leaned back in his chair, the glow of his desk lamp casting long shadows across the room. Risk was something he understood well. Tesla had always been a company built on audacity, on doing what others said was impossible. But was Maria suggesting something that could potentially reshape Tesla's future in an even bolder way? Elon's mind raced as he picked up his phone and called her. "Maria, I got your message. What's the idea?" Maria's voice crackled through the phone with excitement. "Elon, I've been thinking. We've spent so much time focusing on the customer experience and our innovations. But there's a huge gap we haven't yet filled, the infrastructure to support not just Tesla owners, but the entire EV market. We're ahead of the curve in many ways, but the world is still not fully ready to embrace electric cars as a mainstream option. What if we could take it a step further?" Elon listened intently, sensing where this was going but still unsure of how bold Maria was about to get. "What if we launched a partnership with governments and other companies to create the world's largest and most accessible EV charging network?" she continued. "I'm talking about something bigger than Tesla's supercharger network. This would be an initiative to integrate charging stations everywhere, at homes, businesses, public spaces, and beyond. We'd build it not just for Tesla cars, but for all electric vehicles. Tesla would become the leader in not just electric cars, but electric vehicle infrastructure." The proposal hit Elon like a lightning bolt. Maria was right. While Tesla had built a powerful network of superchargers, the broader EV market was still lacking a reliable, accessible charging infrastructure. Even though Tesla's customers had embraced the transition to electric vehicles, other car manufacturers and consumers were still hesitant. The biggest roadblock for widespread adoption of electric cars wasn't necessarily the cars themselves, it was the fear of not being able to charge them when needed. Creating a global EV charging network, built and managed by Tesla, could make Tesla a leader in the entire ecosystem, not just in vehicles, but in the future of sustainable transportation. Elon's mind was already moving into overdrive. The logistics were complex, but the opportunity was undeniable. If Tesla could lead the way in EV infrastructure, it wouldn't just strengthen their brand, it would accelerate the adoption of electric cars worldwide. It would change the course of history. "You're right," Elon finally said, his voice full of resolve. "Let's do it. Let's make this happen. We'll bring the entire EV industry together. Tesla will lead the charge, literally. It'll be a global network, open to every electric car owner. It's ambitious, it's risky, and it's exactly what we need." Maria's excitement was palpable. "I'll start working with the team on a detailed proposal. We'll need partners, automakers, governments, utilities, every stakeholder in the EV world. We can't do this alone, but we'll make sure Tesla is at the heart of it all. This will be the infrastructure that powers the world's transition to electric vehicles." The next day, Elon called together his leadership team. They gathered in the main conference room at Tesla's headquarters, with a palpable sense of anticipation in the air. Elon stood in front of them, energized by his conversation with Maria. "I've been thinking," Elon began, his voice sharp and confident. "Tesla's not just about making electric cars anymore. It's about changing the way the world drives and operates. And we're going to make a bold move, one that's going to transform the entire EV market." The room went quiet, all eyes on Elon. "We're going to create the largest and most accessible electric vehicle charging network in the world. And not just for Tesla, this will be open to every electric car on the road. We'll partner with governments, companies, and utilities to make this happen. Tesla will be at the forefront of not just the vehicles themselves but the infrastructure that powers them." The team erupted in a mixture of surprise and excitement. They had always followed Elon's lead, but this felt like a massive leap forward. It wasn't just a new product or an upgrade to a system, it was a new way of thinking about the entire ecosystem of sustainable transportation. "We'll be making some major moves in the coming months," Elon continued. "I need all of you to start working on the specifics. We're going to need strategic partners, government support, and a whole new vision of how to integrate EV charging into everyday life. We're going to make electric vehicles as easy and accessible as gasoline cars. And Tesla will lead the charge." The room buzzed with energy. Elon had a way of making the impossible feel inevitable, and the team knew that, with his leadership, anything was possible. As the team set to work, Elon found himself grappling with one more thought: could this new project, this new challenge, be Tesla's most defining moment yet? If they could truly succeed in creating a global EV charging network, Tesla wouldn't just lead the way in electric vehicles. It would become the backbone of the global transition to clean energy and sustainable transport. The next chapter of Tesla's story was about to unfold. Elon Musk couldn't sleep. The vision that Maria had presented, the idea of creating the largest and most accessible electric vehicle charging network in the world, was taking root in his mind. Tesla's mission had always been about more than just creating electric cars, it had been about shaping the future of humanity. And now, with the rise of competition and growing awareness of climate change, the time had come to take their vision one step further. As the weeks passed, Elon began to take the steps necessary to turn this massive idea into reality. He knew that creating such a network wasn't just about building infrastructure, it was about making a statement. Tesla had always been more than a car company. It was about a movement toward a sustainable, carbon-free future. And this initiative would bring the world closer to that goal. Elon gathered his leadership team for a strategic meeting. The room was filled with energy, anticipation, and a sense of urgency. Everyone knew that this project would be a game-changer, not just for Tesla but for the entire electric vehicle industry. "We're not just talking about building a network of charging stations," Elon began, his voice steady but filled with passion. "This is about building the future of transportation. We're going to create a system that works for everyone. Tesla owners, competitors, customers, governments, and businesses. This is our chance to accelerate the global transition to sustainable energy in ways we've never imagined." The room was silent, each team member processing the weight of Elon's words. Elon's vision had always been expansive, but this felt different, more immediate. It wasn't just a grand vision of the future, it was something that would require all hands on deck, bold decisions, and a willingness to take risks. Maria, Tesla's chief marketing officer, spoke up. "Elon, we need to start with a few key things: strategic partnerships, infrastructure development, and public buy-in. We'll need to align with governments, utilities, and major automakers. The public's perception of EV charging infrastructure is still in its infancy. We have to show them that this is the next logical step in the evolution of transportation." Elon nodded thoughtfully. "Exactly. We'll need to build trust with the public and show them that this is more than just a Tesla product, it's something that will benefit the world at large. The infrastructure we build needs to be fast, reliable, and convenient. People need to feel confident that when they drive an electric car, they'll never be far from a charging station." The room buzzed with ideas. The scale of the project was immense, but Tesla had always been a company that thrived under pressure. Elon knew that, just like they had done with cars, they would need to push the boundaries of what was possible. Over the next several weeks, Elon and his team worked tirelessly to bring the vision to life. They began reaching out to potential partners, automakers, governments, and businesses, to form alliances that would support the creation of the global EV charging network. The task was monumental, but the team was determined. They faced hurdles right from the start. Governments had to be convinced of the long-term benefits of widespread EV charging infrastructure, and automakers, many of whom were still committed to traditional fuel-powered vehicles, were hesitant to jump on board. The team worked around the clock to present data, case studies, and future projections that demonstrated how sustainable transportation would not only benefit the planet but also drive economic growth and energy security. Elon, known for his unconventional approaches, decided to take the initiative even further. Instead of waiting for traditional companies to get on board, he sought to involve ordinary people in the project. Tesla fans, influencers, and environmental advocates became a key part of the campaign. The message was clear: this was going to be a movement, not just a corporate project. Meanwhile, the competition was starting to feel the pressure. Tesla's efforts to innovate didn't just stop with its cars, they extended into every facet of the electric vehicle ecosystem. Rival automakers that had initially seen Tesla as a niche player in the automotive world were now scrambling to catch up. They had underestimated the power of Tesla's vision. In the midst of Tesla's big push for the charging network, Elon took a step back to survey the landscape. He knew the world was changing fast, and he had always embraced change. The new initiatives would not only help Tesla grow as a company, but they would cement its place as the global leader in the fight against climate change. Elon had always been a master of timing. While the world's automakers were still focused on building electric vehicles to compete with Tesla, he knew that the real long-term value lay in creating the infrastructure to support a world powered by sustainable energy. He also understood that the future of transportation was not limited to electric vehicles alone, it was about the entire energy ecosystem, how cars were powered, how they interacted with the world, and how they fit into a much larger vision for a sustainable future. "Let's make history," Elon said to his team one morning in the middle of a planning session. "This is our chance to reshape the entire transportation system. We're not just building a network of charging stations, we're creating the backbone of the future." With a sense of urgency, Elon's team worked around the clock to design the global network. They considered every detail: placement of charging stations, speed of charging, payment methods, accessibility for everyone. They also began working with renewable energy providers to ensure that the charging network would be powered by clean energy sources. Elon knew that there was no time to waste. He was already thinking about the next challenge, the next frontier. While his team was focused on building out the infrastructure, he began to think about the future of Tesla beyond just electric vehicles. He wanted to create a world where people didn't just drive electric cars, they lived in a world powered by sustainable energy. As Tesla's efforts gained momentum, word started to spread. Not just Tesla enthusiasts, but people all over the world began to see the potential of Elon Musk's new initiative. The idea of a universal EV charging network began to resonate with the public. It wasn't just about Tesla anymore, it was about ensuring that the future of mobility was accessible to everyone. In the weeks that followed, Elon received positive responses from some unexpected places. Several governments, recognizing the long-term benefits of this initiative, began to reach out with offers of support. Even traditional automakers, many of whom had once seen Tesla as a competitor, started to warm up to the idea of a universal charging network that could benefit the entire industry. Tesla's boldest move yet had the potential to bring about a revolution in transportation. But this was just the beginning. As Tesla's ambition to build a global electric vehicle (EV) charging network took shape, Elon Musk found himself at the center of a whirlwind of strategic discussions, partnerships, and high-stakes negotiations. The world was watching. Governments, automakers, and environmental groups were all invested in the outcome of this bold vision. Tesla's mission had moved far beyond just creating cutting-edge vehicles. It was about reshaping the future of energy and mobility for the entire planet. Elon knew the road ahead would be full of obstacles. The automotive industry was not known for its quick adaptability. Governments, too, were slow to respond to large-scale infrastructure initiatives, especially when it came to something as complex as EV charging networks. Still, Elon was undeterred. With every challenge, he grew more determined to push forward. The first priority was securing partnerships with key stakeholders. If Tesla was to succeed in this audacious project, they needed the backing of governments, renewable energy companies, and other automakers. Without these alliances, the infrastructure necessary to build a global charging network would simply not be possible. Tesla's first major breakthrough came when they struck a deal with several renewable energy companies. By using solar power and other green energy sources to power their charging stations, Tesla could create a truly sustainable network. It wasn't just about making EV charging more accessible, it was about ensuring that the entire process, from charging to driving, was powered by renewable energy. This would elevate Tesla's vision into something even more revolutionary: a complete, closed-loop sustainable ecosystem. The next challenge was working with governments around the world to secure favorable legislation and public support for the charging network. Elon made personal calls to leaders from various countries, explaining the far-reaching benefits of the project. From reducing carbon emissions to boosting job creation in the clean energy sector, he painted a compelling picture of how the network could catalyze an economic and environmental transformation. The response was largely positive, though many government officials were cautious. The scale of the project was unprecedented, and several leaders expressed concerns about the initial costs and logistical challenges of implementing the network. Elon reassured them, reminding them that this was an investment in the future, one that would ultimately pay off in the form of cleaner air, a healthier planet, and a more sustainable economy. One of the most significant breakthroughs came when the European Union agreed to collaborate on Tesla's EV charging infrastructure initiative. The EU's commitment to renewable energy and carbon reduction made it an ideal partner for Tesla. By coordinating efforts across member states, Tesla could ensure that the network would span the entire continent, allowing EV owners to travel seamlessly between countries. However, it wasn't just governments and energy companies that Elon had to win over. Automakers, particularly those who had once been skeptical of Tesla's dominance, were beginning to take notice. Traditional car manufacturers had long relied on gasoline-powered vehicles to drive their profits, and many had been slow to embrace the shift to electric cars. But as Tesla's popularity grew, so did the pressure on established carmakers to invest in their own electric models. Elon's decision to open up the charging network to all electric vehicles, regardless of make or model, was a game-changer. By doing so, he created an ecosystem that could support the entire electric vehicle market, not just Tesla's customers. This was a bold move that would bring Tesla closer to its ultimate goal of accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy. Several automakers, including Ford, General Motors, and Volkswagen, began to engage in talks with Tesla about joining the global charging network. These companies, eager to compete with Tesla in the EV market, recognized the value of joining forces rather than trying to build their own separate charging networks. After all, a shared, universal network would benefit everyone in the long run. Tesla's competitors weren't just thinking about cars anymore, they were thinking about charging infrastructure. For the first time, Tesla wasn't just leading the market in EV production. They were becoming the central hub of the entire electric vehicle ecosystem. While the negotiations were ongoing, Tesla's engineers were hard at work. Building a global EV charging network was no small feat. The team had to design and install thousands of high-speed charging stations that were not only compatible with all electric vehicles, but also strategically placed to ensure maximum accessibility for users. Tesla's vision was clear. They didn't just want to create a network of charging stations, they wanted to make the experience seamless and convenient. This meant installing charging stations in easily accessible locations, like shopping malls, highway rest stops, and city centers, so that people could charge their vehicles whenever and wherever they needed. The engineers faced several technical challenges in building out the network. Speed was one of the biggest concerns. The faster the charging time, the more convenient the system would be for drivers. Tesla's supercharger stations had always been among the fastest in the world, but now the team was working to make them even faster, allowing drivers to charge their vehicles to 80% capacity in as little as 15 minutes. This would significantly reduce the range anxiety that had kept many consumers from fully embracing electric vehicles. Another challenge was making the network universally compatible. Although Tesla vehicles were built to use the company's proprietary charging technology, the new network would need to accommodate other electric car brands. Tesla's engineers had to design stations that would be compatible with a variety of plug types and charging protocols. This required a deep understanding of the needs of the broader EV market, as well as a willingness to cooperate with competitors. As Tesla pushed forward with its efforts to build a global EV charging network, the stakes grew higher. Elon was no longer just battling traditional car manufacturers or even the fossil fuel industry, he was fighting for the future of the planet. The mission had become more than just a business venture. It was a call to action for the entire world to embrace sustainable energy, and Tesla was leading the charge. Elon could feel the weight of it all. The eyes of the world were on him, and the pressure was immense. But Elon thrived in high-stakes situations. He wasn't afraid of taking risks, he welcomed them. And with every challenge that arose, he pushed forward, determined to make the vision a reality. As the first phase of the global network started to come to life, Elon couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. Tesla's efforts were no longer just a disruptor in the car industry, they were transforming the very foundation of how people thought about transportation and energy. The work Tesla was doing would leave an indelible mark on the world, and Elon knew it. The months following the groundbreaking agreements with automakers and government bodies were a whirlwind of activity. As Tesla began to expand its charging network across the globe, the scope of their ambition was becoming more apparent. It wasn't just about providing charging stations for Tesla owners anymore, it was about enabling the transition to a sustainable future for everyone, no matter what electric vehicle they drove. Elon Musk watched from his office as Tesla's infrastructure team worked tirelessly to build out the network. Each installation of a new charging station was not just an achievement for the company, it was a step closer to their ultimate goal of making sustainable transportation accessible to all. The weight of their mission was evident, and Elon felt the pressure building every day. He knew that in order to make this vision a reality, he needed more than just partnerships and technology. He needed public support. People had to understand why this charging network was so important, not just for Tesla, but for the entire world. Elon decided to go back to basics. When he had started Tesla, he had built a loyal following by being transparent, bold, and constantly pushing the boundaries of what was possible. Now, as the network began to take shape, he understood that he needed to re-engage the public with that same energy. He turned to social media, Twitter in particular, where he had built a reputation for being open and unfiltered. Elon began posting updates on the progress of the global charging network, showing off pictures of the newly installed stations and announcing new locations in various parts of the world. He also used the platform to answer questions and engage directly with Tesla fans and critics alike. One tweet, in particular, gained massive traction: "The future of transportation is clean, fast, and accessible. Every Tesla supercharger we install brings us closer to that goal. What would make you feel confident about driving electric? Let's make this happen together." The tweet struck a chord. It wasn't just about the technology, it was about people coming together to make the world a better place. Fans, environmentalists, and car enthusiasts began to flood the replies with questions, suggestions, and support. Tesla's global network wasn't just a corporate initiative anymore, it was a movement. People wanted to be part of it. Elon knew that engaging with the public wasn't just about building excitement, it was about building trust. Over the next few weeks, Tesla's social media channels became a platform for lively discussions on the future of transportation, renewable energy, and the role that electric vehicles would play in shaping a sustainable future. As more people began to understand the importance of Tesla's charging network, public perception started to shift. This wasn't just about luxury cars for the wealthy. It was about empowering everyday people to make a real difference in the fight against climate change. Despite the growing excitement, the path to universal adoption was still fraught with challenges. Building a global network of charging stations wasn't simply about installing hardware, it required creating an ecosystem where people felt confident using the infrastructure on a daily basis. One of the most significant hurdles was ensuring that the charging stations were strategically located. Tesla had to think beyond just densely populated cities. For electric vehicles to truly replace gasoline-powered cars, the charging stations needed to be accessible in rural and remote areas as well. This required extensive research and planning to ensure that charging stations were placed along highways, at rest stops, and in small towns where access to charging infrastructure had traditionally been limited. Elon's team worked tirelessly with local governments and municipalities to secure land for new charging stations. They also had to find innovative ways to ensure that the stations were accessible to everyone, regardless of whether they owned a Tesla or a competing EV. This meant building stations with universal connectors, working with competitors to standardize charging protocols, and ensuring that the stations were fast, reliable, and easy to use. As the network expanded, so did the complexity of managing it. Tesla's engineers had to continually improve the technology behind the stations to ensure that they could handle the growing demand. They also had to find ways to make the charging experience as seamless as possible. Elon was committed to making the stations not just functional, but user-friendly. He wanted people to feel like charging their cars was as easy as filling up a gas tank. The impact of Tesla's global charging network began to ripple out across the world. The first signs of universal adoption came when drivers from different parts of the world started posting photos of themselves charging at Tesla stations. A user in Europe posted a photo of a newly installed supercharger station in a small village, while a driver in California tweeted about the convenience of being able to charge their EV while shopping at the local mall. People began to see the potential of electric vehicles as a practical, everyday solution. The news media took notice as well. What had started as a bold, even controversial idea was now being celebrated as a revolutionary change in the way the world approached transportation. Environmental groups hailed Tesla's initiative as a significant step toward reducing global carbon emissions. The automakers who had been slow to adopt electric vehicle technology were now scrambling to keep up. Governments, too, began to see the benefits. Countries like Norway, which had already committed to phasing out internal combustion engines by 2025, found that Tesla's charging network was critical to achieving their goals. Cities across the world began offering incentives to businesses and consumers to install more charging stations, further accelerating the global transition to electric vehicles. As the charging network grew, so did the momentum behind Tesla's mission. The world was beginning to recognize the role that sustainable transportation could play in the fight against climate change. The future, once uncertain and filled with challenges, was now full of possibilities. With the network now spreading rapidly across the globe, Elon began to look beyond the immediate goals of Tesla's charging infrastructure. He knew that the future wasn't just about cars, it was about the entire energy ecosystem. As Tesla's energy division grew, Elon saw the opportunity to link their electric vehicles, solar panels, and storage solutions into one integrated system. The vision of a world powered entirely by sustainable energy was becoming a reality. In his mind, this wasn't just about Tesla succeeding. It was about the entire world succeeding. If Tesla could build the infrastructure to support electric vehicles and integrate that with solar power and energy storage, they could not only revolutionize transportation, they could create a future where clean energy was the norm. The road to universal adoption was long, but Elon knew that with each new charging station, each new partnership, and each new customer who embraced sustainable transportation, they were getting closer to that goal. The world was changing, and Tesla was leading the way. As Tesla's global charging network expanded and the company's vision of a sustainable future began to take shape, Elon Musk found himself standing at the precipice of something much larger than he had initially imagined. Tesla's mission wasn't just about electric vehicles anymore, it was about creating a new way of life. A way of life where transportation, energy production, and consumption were all part of a seamless, sustainable ecosystem. The world was changing, and it was changing fast. Every day brought new advancements in technology, policy, and public opinion. More and more consumers were waking up to the reality of climate change and the need for action. The pressure to act had never been greater. But Elon saw this as an opportunity, not an obstacle. In fact, he believed that this moment, right now, was the perfect time for a radical shift in how humanity approached mobility. With the global charging network taking off and sustainable energy becoming more mainstream, Tesla turned its attention to another game-changing innovation, autonomous driving. For years, Elon and his engineers had been developing self-driving technology that could revolutionize how people interacted with cars. The idea of vehicles that could drive themselves had always seemed like something out of science fiction, but Tesla had already made massive strides in making it a reality. Elon's vision for autonomous driving went beyond convenience, it was about safety, efficiency, and sustainability. If cars could drive themselves, they could optimize their routes, reduce traffic, and dramatically lower the number of accidents on the roads. Autonomous vehicles could also play a huge role in reducing the carbon footprint of transportation by improving driving efficiency and enabling new car-sharing models. The technology was already being tested in select markets, and early results were promising. Tesla vehicles with full self-driving capabilities were already able to navigate highways, change lanes, and park themselves with little to no human intervention. The next step was scaling this technology for wider use and ensuring that the infrastructure, both physical and regulatory, could support it. For Elon, the promise of autonomous driving was just as exciting as the electric revolution. By combining electric vehicles with self-driving technology, Tesla could create a new form of transportation that was safer, more efficient, and more sustainable than anything that had come before. Despite the progress, there were many challenges ahead. The path to widespread adoption of autonomous vehicles was far from simple. Technological hurdles still remained, particularly in terms of creating a fully autonomous driving system that could handle every possible driving situation. There were also regulatory issues to navigate, as governments around the world debated how to safely integrate self-driving cars into existing traffic systems. One of the biggest challenges was convincing the public that autonomous vehicles were safe. Although Tesla had made significant strides in the technology, many people were still wary of the idea of giving up control of their cars. High-profile accidents involving autonomous vehicles, while rare, had sparked widespread fear and skepticism about the technology's readiness. Elon knew that the key to overcoming this obstacle was data. Tesla's cars were already collecting massive amounts of data from real-world driving, which could be used to continually improve the software. Each mile driven helped the system learn and evolve, making it safer and more reliable with every update. By leveraging Tesla's massive fleet of vehicles on the road, Elon believed that they could achieve the level of safety and efficiency needed to convince the public that autonomous vehicles were the future. While some automakers were still in the early stages of developing self-driving technology, Tesla was already a few steps ahead. In fact, the company's self-driving cars were one of the key selling points that set Tesla apart from the competition. As the global charging network continued to expand, Tesla's fleet of autonomous vehicles began to serve as a symbol of what the future of transportation could look like. Elon's next big push was to integrate the autonomous technology with the global EV charging network. If Tesla could make charging stations fully integrated with autonomous driving, the user experience could become even more seamless. Imagine a world where drivers could simply pull up to a charging station, and their car would automatically park itself, plug in, and begin charging, all without the driver ever needing to leave the car. This vision became the basis for Tesla's next major project, autonomous charging stations. These stations would not only serve as hubs for EV owners to charge their vehicles, but they would also function as key points for autonomous vehicles to rest, recharge, and even swap out batteries if needed. The charging stations would essentially become hubs of the future, where electric vehicles and autonomous technology could come together to create a new, more efficient way of living. As Tesla pushed forward with its efforts to build the future of transportation, the world was beginning to take notice. Every new development, from the expansion of the charging network to the rollout of full self-driving vehicles, sent shockwaves through the global automotive industry. Companies that had once been dismissive of Tesla's ideas were now scrambling to keep up, racing to develop their own electric and autonomous vehicles. But it wasn't just the automotive industry that was feeling the pressure. Governments, too, had to act fast. Climate change was no longer something that could be ignored. It was a pressing, existential threat, and the world needed solutions, fast. The widespread adoption of electric vehicles, combined with the rise of renewable energy, was one of the most promising solutions to this crisis. Elon understood that Tesla's impact could go far beyond the vehicles it produced. By leading the charge on electric mobility, Tesla was showing the world what was possible when innovation and sustainability worked together. And as the company's global charging network continued to grow, Tesla became a central player in the global effort to combat climate change. With every passing day, Elon Musk's vision for a sustainable, autonomous, and interconnected world became more and more achievable. The global charging network, once a distant dream, was now a reality. Tesla's electric vehicles were beginning to dominate the roads, and autonomous driving technology was steadily improving. The promise of a clean, efficient, and safe transportation system was within reach. But Elon wasn't done yet. He knew that the journey was far from over. The future of electric mobility was not just about building cars, it was about creating an entirely new way of life. A life where transportation was clean, efficient, and sustainable. A life where people could rely on renewable energy to power not just their vehicles, but their homes and businesses as well. As he sat back and looked at the progress Tesla had made, Elon felt a sense of pride. They were no longer just building cars. They were building the future. And the best part? They were just getting started. The world had changed in ways that no one could have predicted just a decade ago. The idea of electric vehicles, EVs, dominating the roads was once met with skepticism and resistance, but now, EVs were the standard rather than the exception. Tesla's vision for a sustainable future had grown beyond just a company or a product, it was a movement. And Elon Musk was leading it. As Tesla's global charging network reached near completion and self-driving technology became a part of daily life, the true impact of Tesla's efforts began to settle in. Elon knew that they were on the verge of something monumental, something that would shape the world for generations to come. And yet, he also knew that it was just the beginning. One of the biggest changes in the world was the global attitude toward sustainability. When Tesla started, electric vehicles were seen as a niche market, something only for the environmentally conscious or tech enthusiasts. Today, the transition to a sustainable, electric future was being embraced by people from all walks of life, industries, and governments. The automotive world had evolved. Traditional automakers were no longer dismissing the rise of electric vehicles as a fad, they were scrambling to catch up. Governments were rolling out incentives to support EV adoption, with some countries even committing to banning the sale of new internal combustion engine vehicles by the next decade. In cities, electric vehicles were becoming commonplace, not just in wealthy neighborhoods but everywhere. Governments had built EV infrastructure, charging stations, tax rebates, incentives, aimed at making it as easy as possible for people to switch. Public transportation was increasingly electric, with electric buses and taxis becoming staples in cities worldwide. Some regions had even started to replace their traditional grids with renewable sources of energy, and more homes were adopting solar panels, with energy storage solutions like Tesla's Powerwall making it possible to live off the grid. The dream of autonomous driving, once considered far off and unachievable, was no longer a pipe dream. Tesla had not only achieved the capability for cars to drive themselves but was now integrating that technology into society. Cities had begun to redesign roads and infrastructure with autonomous vehicles in mind. No longer were traffic jams a problem of human error or inefficient driving habits. Autonomous cars, working together through sophisticated AI systems, had streamlined traffic flow, reduced congestion, and optimized routes for the best energy efficiency. Public perception had dramatically shifted as well. The once deep skepticism surrounding self-driving vehicles had been quelled by years of real-world data, testing, and positive user experiences. The fears that autonomous cars would be dangerous had dissipated, especially after widespread success in accident prevention and the vast reduction of fatalities on the road. Tesla's autonomous fleet had expanded rapidly, offering shared mobility solutions in cities and suburbs alike. Ride-sharing programs, powered by fully autonomous electric vehicles, allowed people to get around without owning a car at all. Mobility was no longer about private ownership but about access to clean, efficient, and reliable transportation for everyone. Elon had always envisioned Tesla as more than just a car company. It was an ecosystem, an interconnected network of sustainable energy, electric vehicles, and autonomous technology designed to revolutionize every aspect of life. Now, with Tesla's global network of charging stations, solar power systems, and autonomous vehicles, the company had become a cornerstone of the global push for sustainability. And Elon wasn't content to rest on his laurels. He knew that true change came not from complacency, but from continually pushing boundaries. One of the next big steps in Tesla's evolution was the integration of artificial intelligence, AI, into every aspect of the company's operations. From manufacturing to supply chains, customer service to product development, Tesla was becoming increasingly reliant on AI to streamline and improve every facet of the business. AI was being used to optimize energy consumption in Tesla's power grid systems, automate vehicle diagnostics, and even predict future market trends, making the company more efficient and effective than ever before. The most profound impact of Tesla's work, however, wasn't just in the products they had created, it was in the shift in how the world viewed transportation and energy consumption. What began as a small group of idealists pushing for a more sustainable future had grown into a global movement, one that was impossible to ignore. People were no longer just buying electric cars for environmental reasons, they were doing it because electric vehicles were simply better. They were cheaper to maintain, more efficient, and more fun to drive. And now that autonomous technology was becoming ubiquitous, the appeal of EVs only grew stronger. What had once been a niche product was now a mainstream solution. Tesla had not just changed the automotive industry, it had helped reshape the way people lived. The world was moving toward a new era, one where fossil fuels were no longer necessary, where energy was clean and renewable, and where every person, no matter their location or income, could access sustainable transportation. As Elon Musk stood at the forefront of this transformation, he knew that the journey wasn't over. In fact, it was just beginning. There was still much work to do, challenges to overcome, barriers to break, and new frontiers to explore. Tesla's work wasn't done until every single person had access to clean energy and sustainable transportation. That was the mission, and it wasn't something that could be achieved in just a few years. The world needed time to adapt, to shift toward a new paradigm of energy and mobility. But Elon had always believed that the impossible was just a stepping stone. And with each passing day, the impossible was becoming reality. The global transition to sustainable energy, once thought to be a distant dream, was happening now. Tesla had led the charge, and Elon Musk was just getting started. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough?